there's not much they can do. She walked away, shaking her head in disbelief, as if shocked by the suggestion that she herself had raised. And I walked off too, looking over my shoulder just a little nervously. Paul Moss, reflecting on democracy and policing. From the 1960s to the 1990s, Guatemala endured a civil war that cost hundreds of thousands of lives. The country still has one of the highest homicide rates in the world. Guatemalans know plenty about violent crime. But now there's a new and deadly threat coming from across the border. Mexican drugs cartels muscling in on Guatemalan gangs, using mass murder to mark out territory. Linda Presley's been to one site of a recent massacre in the northern region of Petén, that's close to the border with Mexico, to meet the soldiers whose job it is to try to protect fearful villagers.
There are just so many shoes. Flip-flops, a cowboy boot, Wellingtons, a single cheap trainer, and a child's Sunday best navy leather sandals. They're strewn across the tropical earth outside two rough wooden buildings. These would have been home to the workers on Los Cocos Ranch, migrants from the south of Guatemala who moved north to the region of Petén near the Mexican border to get a job. Now those workers are gone. Their bloody, decapitated bodies removed in refrigerated trucks the day after the massacre. 27 were murdered. Birdsong carries on the hot, still air. Past the wooden homes, you reach a clearing. There's a well, and just ahead is a whitewashed brick building with a veranda tiled in terracotta. I've seen pictures of this scene on the internet, but it's still deeply shocking, because the entire front wall of the building has been stained with blood in a message written in giant letters to the owner of the ranch. "I'm going to find you," it says, "and I'm going to leave you like this." It's signed Z200. Extreme, cruel and stomach-churning violence has become a mark of the Zetas, a group believed to be responsible for what happened here, apparently revenge for an unpaid drug debt. Over the last few years, the Mexican cartels have moved into Guatemala with the aim of controlling territory. Petén is home to hummingbirds, ocelots and jaguars, and it was the birthplace and heartland of the ancient Maya civilization, where great cities rose out of the thick forest. Now it's one of the main transit routes for cocaine heading to the United States. The brutality at Los Cocos completely stunned Guatemala. Not easy in a nation where gun, gang and drug violence is an everyday occurrence. The president arrived within hours of the massacre, and Petén was put under direct military control. When we visit his headquarters, the colonel in charge of the operation is behind his desk in a room with vicious air conditioning, the speakers on his computer belting out a popular ballad. The colonel clocks our translator. Matthews, a ponytailed American who arrived in Guatemala more than a decade ago with the Peace Corps and then stayed on to set up a local environmental organization in Petén. He's an invaluable guide for us, knows the area, is in touch with communities, and he's just one of those people you always hope you'll meet on an assignment, but rarely do. But the colonel is suspicious of Matthew. Perhaps he thinks he'll twist his words. "You're here to translate, not interpret," the colonel tells him. And then realizing I'm taller than him, which he thinks might not be a good look on television, he orders one of his minions to bring a breeze block over and stands on it. Now, I misinterpret this as quite a good gag and start to laugh. But the colonel is deadly serious. Then it dawns on him that standing on a breeze block in front of his men might be an even worse look, and he orders someone to take it away. The colonel won't be drawn on how many more soldiers have been brought into Petén since the massacre. All he'll say is that the military has the area under control. But locals question whether the military does have the area under control, as the colonel says. Father Javier, a local parish priest with an easy manner and a cotton shoulder bag, tells me the presence of the soldiers has made no impression on the cartels or the drug dealers. And since the massacre at Los Cocos, the fear is palpable. It's always been there, he says, but now it's like the screw's been tightened.
And you can hear more from Linda Presley in Guatemala on this week's assignment here on the BBC World Service. Well, that's it from our own correspondent for today. Join us tomorrow. BBC.
Clandestine abductions. If you want him to disappear, send him to Cairo. Secret interrogations. You tell them you can use slapping. You're just opening Pandora's box. BBC reveals the inside story of the intelligence war waged against Al-Qaeda since 9/11. The secret war on terror. On air and online from the 30th of August.